in at 4.5 million and 9 point something, I don't know what it is. But that is basically a year's worth of money. So we spent a year's worth of money, which is what this item over here talks about, 50% of a year's worth of money. I'm just saying we spent 100% of a year's worth of money last year. I'm not married to 50%, but I'm just saying where the number comes from. Last year we spent slightly more than 100% of a year's worth of money on streets. We spent $15 million, we collect $13 million a year. Tell me why that's not 100% plus.
All right, now I have a statement.
Yeah.
My concern with the 50%, I'm just going to express a concern, okay? There are miles and miles of streets in the city of Jackson. But my concern is if we're going to be repairing and fixing the streets with 50% of the money, I think there is something else that should be a priority and a focus, and that's what's under the streets. Does us no good to fix, repair, and resurface when there are water mains breaking, because that does create damage. I think our focus should be under what's under the street. I understand the constituents. I live in the city of Jackson. Y'all live in the city of Jackson too, hopefully, because every member of the commission is supposed to be a resident of the city of Jackson. I think we can see what individuals can see, but now the citizens can also see the water mains busting everywhere. They want their water to work too. And I think that should be more of a priority and a focus. Not that the streets shouldn't be a focus, but to allocate and say 50% of the funds. I don't know, because I'm not an engineer and I don't do construction, but I'm inclined to think that the water mains, the piping, and what's under the streets is probably going to cost us more than what's on.
But that's not every street. There are plenty of streets that just need to be, like Ridgewood Road, we're just paving it. We're not.
But if you're allocating in this plan 50% of the money and only leaving 50% for everything else,
well,
you got bridges and you got what's under the street.
But last year we allocated money to repave McClure Road, to repave Raymond Road, and I'm not talking about 100% of Raymond Road, and to repave Ridgewood Road and Briarwood and Gallatin, without doing anything with the utilities underneath them, because the roads were in such bad shape they needed to be fixed, even though they may or may not have utility problems underneath them. I think we've all agreed with what you said, that we need to worry about the utilities underneath them before we go repave them. We've also made the decision sometimes you've got to repave them, even though it might be a while before you can go back, because we can't replace all the water lines in this city just like we can't pave every street. I agree with you that we need to worry about what's underneath them. But I also recognize the reality of what we've done in here and said, and it wasn't this commission that decided it, it was the city that came to the commission and we agreed with it to repave those roads.
But see, isn't that the point though? You want to tell us which street to pave? And I think that's problematic.
I think it comes from your recommendation.
Saying this.
But I'm sorry, I'm not a member of the commission.
No, I'm not. But I am integrated in the city, and I do know a lot.
And I appreciate your opinion.
So, but in relate to Mr. Ditto, you're going to have engineers. Now, how we select them is through a quality-based selection. Okay, that's how we select them. In order for you to move forward with any master plan that you put on the table, you're going to have them involved. That's critical, because you just can't go slap asphalt on the street, because now you have ADA components that go along with it. So, with that being said, I think that you need to think about those types of things if you want to amend that. But there should be some, discussion about that, because in order for us to get to where we're at right now, on that year 15, we had to engage consultants to get to this point. The work that has been completed to this date has been a collaboration between our engineering division and public works and those consultants. Working, engaging, meeting out on site, all of that in a collaboration to get to where we're at. So, and we're going to continue to do that. But don't limit us with, or put a process in place that would delay us, because there are procedural processes that we have in place that are conducted across the street. That's selection of consultants, selection of contractors, all that's in place. The mayor just can't sign a contract because we take a bid. The council has to approve it first, and that amount. So those are some of the things that I think that needs to be thought about as we move forward, because anything that you put in there that's going to continue to delay the process will be a bad reflection on everybody.
I don't see anything that delays this. You go ahead.
Here are my comments on this. We are at this point, whether we like it or not, because most of us around this table don't have confidence that a 5-year plan is going to be adhered to. Now, we've sat in this room where we've adopted projects and we come back and we find that money's been moved around, or we took this money and put it elsewhere and you've asked us to look past that. And we all have a fiduciary duty. We want the same things you want for this money to be used appropriately. So I'm okay with adopting a plan where there is a framework and you continue to bring us the projects and we vote it up or down. We can't bring a project to the table, but the bottom line is, let's be fair. I mean, we have countless times we've been around this table and we've seen money that was spent in direct opposition to how we asked the city to spend it or how we approved the city.
That's not true.
That is absolutely true, Mayor. And something else, Dr. Williams and Mayor Yarber, that I don't appreciate is the insinuation that the commission has slowed down the process.
No, I didn't say that.
Obviously,
I didn't say that.
yes, you
No,
did.
no, I
Yes,
did
you
not.
did. Yes,
I
you
did
did,
not.
Dr. Williams.
No, only thing I
where
put
we
on the
are
table
now,
was
where
the
we
list.
are now is you've got a large number of dollars that are on the table for you to spend. You're asking for $90 million more, 80 million, whatever it is. And quite frankly, we feel like we have a duty to make sure that we do our part of the bargain. I call for question.
Let me tell you why I say it's slow. Because if there was a master plan approved in 2015, then we would not be cherry picking streets. I don't like this street. If we had sat down like we're proposing to do right now, sit down and we can do all of those things that we're saying. We can go through projects, potential projects, and we can lay it out in a master plan that this commission approves. I'm offended that the insinuation is that I want to come here and tell you what projects to do. No, I just want us to do a master plan. We can decide. We put in a committee.
You can tell us what projects to do.
We
approve.
basically have approved everything that the city has brought to us.
That's exactly right.
I
37
mean,
million
and I don't think that
30
changes.
million obligated,
I don't
7.5
think
spent.
this plan changes that, but it does say to you, the staff, I'm not talking about you individually, sir. You know, it does say, here's where we think some priorities ought to be used in figuring out, you know, whether we ought to be fixing these streets or those streets, that gives the guidance that is there. But I still think, I mean, it's got to depend on folks in the city that sits here and get the phone calls and all that. I don't think this eliminates that at all.
The only thing I was saying, trying to put on the table was, don't put any additional delays on us. I didn't say anything that the process was delayed.
I apologize.
Okay.
Maybe I took it wrong.
The other is, no money has been moved outside of what has been approved. No, seriously, look at the spreadsheet. Look at the spreadsheet.
Look at it in
Look at the spreadsheet.
year one
There
that
is-
you all as a commission approved. Those are the projects, same projects that we're working on.
Right, we had already processed.
No, same projects, but at a much higher
And
rate.
here's the point. But here's the point.
At a much higher rate.
But we
point
didn't
that
increase
you-
it. We
that
didn't
you
increase
need
it
to
year
get
one.
in your-
Yeah, but
into this-
it meant
into
some
this
others
committee
didn't get
framework.
done.
Here's what
Right,
you need to
because we didn't move
understand,
on.
because you all don't do these particular projects with the constraints that we have. What you need to understand is they are going to come in at different prices. If you are going to approve a project, you have to have the understanding of what it's going to take to finish the project. Now, what we have
I think now we got
when the drainage, and let me finish, I'm going to be a little more long-winded.
Okay, but I think
When-
y'all's
when
credit,
you
what
do-
y'all said we're getting better numbers now.
And we are.
We're getting better numbers
When
now.
you approve the drainage, go back to April, and you only approved 4 drainage projects. You talked about Beachcrest, that came up. You started looking at.
That's Pete's favorite street.
I
It
see.
is,
Only
but I'm
because it's
using
the first one on
Well,
there.
you got all
I don't even know
rules
where
as
it is.
well, but the problem, the issue is, what do you fund? They were all approved when they come up in sequence, when they come up in priority, and they have to be worked on. Somebody has to make the decision which ones get done. You've already approved them, you've already got them out the door, and you're running on them, and you're getting to the point of construction. What are you gonna do? We don't meet, the commission doesn't meet weekly. The commission will not meet enough times to be able to really deal with projects as they need to be done. That's not gonna happen. So you're going to have to, in the framework, determine how much leeway you have to give the city to get the projects done. Because at the end of the day, even if you get a project manager or construction manager, whatever you want to call it, the city will be responsible for the work that gets done before the commission.
But on the
The
other
commission
hand-
is just oversight.
We don't need to do it if we have good estimates. Getting a $6,000 estimate for a $100,000 project.
But-
But I think we're getting that now, but we didn't get that in the first place.
And also that bridge, for the record, the bridge didn't collapse at that time.
That's exactly what I said when I brought it up, and I was talking now, I was now talking about the House of Woods Bridge. That went the
So the
same
question's
way.
been called.
Question being called.
I just have one recommendation.
I was, when I
Yeah,
said.
actually two, because, Mr. O'Neill will have one.
Okay. Can I?
Sure.
Okay. This 50% for streets, I have some serious concerns about 50% for streets. Because what's under the streets, I think should be our focus and our priority. There is opportunities, I don't know, maybe Public Works know, as it relates to what's under the streets, which is our water mains, our water lines, the opportunities for us to get, monies from other sources, federal, state, or whatever, to do those, may be diminished, may not be as prevalent, that's the wrong word, as prevalent as it is as it relates to streets, because you know,
What if you had street and water line improvements?
because MDOT
about
and
and
some of
related
those
water
others
lines?
have, because I have a concern with just saying streets only when you've got what's under the streets, I think,
Yes,
which is
ma'am.
more
That's
expensive.
why I'm saying related water lines.
So if we had streets and related improvements?
The related water lines.
And related water.
And related water line. All right.
If we're gonna repair the street, I think we really.
I want to make
Not
most
every
of
time.
I want to make some amendments.
Not every street, not every water line.
I'm not comfortable with
Well,
places where
maintenance.
council's authority, as you said.
I think it's part of our plan. Also, we need to consider and look at maintenance. We're in where we are right now is because we have not done any maintenance. So I don't think our approach to any of this should be, well, we're gonna wait until the bottom falls out before we begin to address it.
But it doesn't
It's gonna
exclude
cost
maintenance,
us less.
And we
does
are-
it exclude maintenance?
And the city has other sources besides just here too.
Yeah, I understand that, but it will cost us less,
Yeah.
I think, if we address, even if something is not at a critical stage, I think our mindset should be also looking at, well, it's not at a critical stage, but some maintenance, some work needs to be done, let's go ahead and do it before it becomes and gets to a point where, as opposed to it costing us $75,000, that it begins to cost us $500,000.
All right. Well, I want to.
You do it, Chief.
I want to make an amendment. I like to amend number 7. I'm going to move to strike number 7 because I think it usurps the authority of the city council, the governing authorities of the city of Jackson. I can probably live with some of the other stuff, because what it looks like is that it's gonna pass the way that it is. So I'm willing to, I know right now, because number 7, there's no way that if the legislation is saying that the city can do this, that this commission can just take that authority from the council.
Second.
All right, been moving properly second.
For an amendment, so you got to vote on the amendment.
Sure.
And then we get, but I'm trying to ask the question. We got 2 or 3 other word change amendments, like changing this to need for and heard about adding water line.
Yeah, we can just.
Can we deal with them as a whole and say, let's adopt that as an amendment and do your amendment as a separate amendment?
That's fine.
Just a suggested process.
That's fine. So this amendment's on the floor right now, then we'll come back to that. All in favor?
Of what?
I'm sorry, of the amendment that strikes number 7. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All right. Abstentions? All right, Mr. O'Neill abstains. Motion fails. All right, you had another,
There were two conversations of amendments, and I will make this in the form of a motion to pick up what I heard as two conversations. One was to change on item 4, and Ms. Johnson, you follow me on this, make sure. After the word, on the second line, after the word street improvements and related utilities. I'm not just gonna say water lines. And related, add the word and related utilities. That's on number 4, the second line, after the word street improvements, add the word and related utilities.
Agree.
There was another one, and I think on number 9, it said the commission may determine, and Michael, this was your words, take out the word to engage and add the words a need for. And I think those were by consensus, but I make
Is
that,
that a,
I make that in the form of a motion to
Second.
amend it.
been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? Nay? Any abstentions? All right. All right, motion carries. All right, now back to the main motion. We've got,
What?
Yeah.
My suggestion is, and we can craft this in whatever legal form we have to, would be to go ahead and vote on the passage of this as now it's been amended, with the understanding that we'll come back at the next meeting, because we put this together quickly, that this would be the document we're approving now, and that we'll come back and revisit it with other things that the mayor's talked about, and attorneys have talked about, and we'll see it. And what we should do, but this isn't a bad motion now, I'm getting too long-winded, but it's more or less what I'm trying to get at, is that I do think we need a committee to take a look at some of the other issues that may come up with this versus where we need to be.
And I offer this as a suggestion. If you go to the next to the last paragraph on the second page, the second sentence says, this plan may be modified or amended at any time by a majority vote of the commission at any meeting, granting the commission member to provide notice at least 7 days in advance for the proposed amendment. Would you be amenable into holding your question to vote on the plan and then state now that at the next meeting we will consider this? That would give the 7 days notice that we could do it and then do all the rest of the stuff you said. Because I think it would be in accordance with that sentence right there, that if the plan was adopted, then you can say, I have some amendments I want to consider at the next meeting, and we could do that in accordance with that. Does that make sense?
Yes, as long as we go ahead and have a subcommittee take a look at.
But yeah, certainly you can get a subcommittee to do it that says they're gonna bring
recommendations?
Yeah.
I think it's placating, but
I think it's good. I know I feel good with that.
Any motion?
That's the motion.
Wait. Is that an amendment to the motion to adopt this, or we're gonna adopt it and then have the motion? I mean, it
Well,
seemed
once
like
you
to me you
once
adopted
you
this.
adopted it, that's it.
Yeah, but you adopted it, and then under what you've adopted, it says you can have a meeting with giving 7 days notice, and with the exception of Beverly, we could get the notice to her, and so at the next meeting, you will have that.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, that's where you're going, so that's not a motion now until we adopt it. And then it would be a motion that we do this.
Well, once you adopt this, why is the motion necessary?
Because
this is
we're gonna amend it.
What you gonna amend it for?
Well,
It
whatever.
said 7 days notice.
Well. that's
Because the
what-
mayor wants to have further discussion on it.
No, I don't.
I do. And
Okay, well,
Okay.
Wayne, yeah.
I think we need to have some more discussion on this. And I'm at the point that I'm saying we need to go on record. This is it. This is what we're voting on at this very point in time. But the motion includes that we will have a subcommittee rather than everybody around this table. Just nothing's gelled really. So I know where we probably stand, and I'm personally okay with that. But I want to make sure that when we okay this, that we have something in place that when we come back, this subcommittee at that point can give their additional comments and we can make final changes.
And I'm okay with that, but I have heard every day at least once, and sometimes 2 or 3 times for the last 2 weeks, they hadn't adopted the master plan. They hadn't adopted the master plan. And that's been the mantra over and over and over. So that's why I want to go ahead and do that.
We're doing it
Yeah.
with
That we can amend
We're
it.
not. We're adopting policies.
No, we're adopting the master plan. In your opinion, it's policy. I don't think what you brought forth was the master plan, but we're both entitled to an opinion.
We are.
Questions on the floor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. All right. Ayes have it.
you want to say something.
Y'all feel free to carry.
Sure. I'll set a subcommittee and send an email on those who will be participating on that. All right. Next item would be, we've done that, which is policies. So let's go to finance.
Okay. This is an update on the finance, the revenues collected. This is based on the budget, based on the information we received from the city February the 15th, 2017. The revenues collected was $40,015,423.75. The interest earned was $58,226.09. So the total revenue was $40,073,649.84. The amount obligated is $30,161,683. The amount unobligated, $9,911,966.84. And the amount spent is $6,984,109.81. You go next slide. Any questions? All right. The last meeting, I think that there was questions about the Tiger Grant project and the money that was allocated, how much was going to be needed for the 1%, because you all were going to determine whether you're going to have to reserve that money for the Tiger Grant. But we met the city, we met with MDOT and FHWA as requested by the commission to do so. And of course, in that meeting, they told us about $3 million that was going to be added to the project, but the total construction cost, which is approximately $38.5 million, and the city will not have to have all that matched. And that was as per the
2 months ago, the total construction cost was 32. A month ago, it was 36 and a half. Now it's 38 and a half. How does it keep on moving?
This was based on the meeting that we had with FHWA.
Where are the estimates coming from?
The engineers that's working on the project.
So the 36 from last month was no good. I mean, it went up $2.5 million in the last month or two.
I mean, there might have been some things that, as a matter of fact, that was the reason why they added $3 million to the project.
No, they added $3 million because it was originally approved for 16 and a half, and we went back and tried to get the 19, and people put some pressure on and got the $3 million. I know where that came from.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't because of construction costs.
Yes, sir, but in the meeting.
Wait, the construction cost went from 32 and a half on that, which was what was applied for, is cost to 36 and a half.
Yes,
So
sir,
we went
but
from
in the meeting, that's what FHWA was saying, that was gonna offset the cost for some of the design issues that was happening.
That was the 32 to 36, but now it's gone from 36 to 38 is what I'm asking. That meeting, that $3 million was
Well,
approved.
this is the thing. In every phase of a project, any project, you're gonna have a just a rough estimate. You're gonna have a 30% phase. They're gonna give you a preliminary estimate for that phase. A 60% submittal. They're gonna normally give you an estimate for that phase. So as you get closer to the completion of that project, that estimate is gonna be a more tighter, because you're coming into reality of some things that you need to do. So basically, when you start off a project, like when you start budgeting the project, there might not be some things that you're looking at, but when you, just like you had mentioned earlier when you all was talking about bridges, in lieu of going outside and doing other things other than the bridge, just do the bridge. But that's not the case. You gotta look at the infrastructure. You might have different things there. So basically, just looking at it from a planning standpoint, you might end up just saying doing the bridge, but when you get the engineer out there doing the work.
If I can stop you for a second, I understand all that. What was those things that made it go up $2 million and
Tom,
not the two?
the
I mean, I understand that, I just want to know what
bottom line is, the application, the total amount was 35.5.
in the
That was in the
application.
application. That's it.
Copy I got you 32 and a half, but okay, so
Well,
that's,
this is the approved copy, right?
well, I'm talking about what you submitted.
This is the approved,
Okay.
executed
Okay.
copy, right?
Excuse me, let me rephrase
Well, it's
that.
kinda-
I've got the nice printed, fancy green and yellow and red
I
copy.
got the executed.
I know.
See,
approved
now,
copy.
I didn't even
have
ever get a
all
copy of
extra
that.
funds at the beginning of the construction. Did you get that in writing?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we met with them, we got witnesses, you had Dr. Williams there, you had Mr. Lee there, you
I
had,
got it in writing, cause I
and
want to see.
we got minutes of the meeting.
So what is the schedule of the city's portion, the $14 million?
I mean,
This is a 3-year project?
just like I was explaining the day that we had the work session, they give you options, so every month, you're going to invoice, you're gonna pay for the invoices for the project, and you're gonna submit that reimbursement to, the LPA is gonna be, the MDOT LPA is gonna be working this project. You submit that invoice to them, and they reimburse you within 45 days.
But Ted's question is gonna be mine. I understand you don't have to have the whole $38 million, which was the discussion 2 months ago. The question I've got is, when does the city have to have 14 million? Is it 3 this year and 4 next year and 4 next year? Or is it 4, wait, this is also city budgeting, accounting, legal, documenting, whatever. Do you have to be able to put $14 million over there in account number 123 before you can sign the MOU with USDOT? I mean,
The MOU has already been signed.
okay, well, before you get started with the whole, I don't know what the process, like these other projects, Charles, when we've gone in there and you decide you're gonna do a bridge and you award a contract for the engineer, you move 600,000 here and put it there. So do we have to be able to put 14 million there, or do we have to be able to put what's gonna be spent this year there?
No, you can, if you decide you want to budget over the duration of the project, that can be set up financially. The key point about that is, you want to be able to book the federal funds in, okay, from the city side, so you can do the reimbursement. That's the critical part of this piece. And then you also want to make sure you have your matching funds available.
But,
So that's-
wait,
that's the
the
question.
last words you just said might be the key. Is you have to match your funds available, because that gets to the next question. Is the city looking to 1% money for 100% of the matching funds? That's the key question right here, is the city expecting all that $14 million, or whatever the number is next month, to come from 1% money? Or are there other options or other monies available that it's gonna come from? Because we hadn't ever talked about it until the last couple of months, putting up $14 million. And now it's coming in here saying, we're gonna do it. So you use the magic words, you gotta be assured you got the magic funds available. So does that whole thing involve us?
I think it's always involved the commission.
If you look at, all we've been told is 3 million and 4 million. Okay.
So basically, the federal funds is roughly around about $24.5 million. The city part is 14 million. And the FHWA did talk about, several ways that you can do that. You can look at your budget year for this year, and you can make sure that you have set aside money, just like Dr. Williams said, just to make sure that you can take care of paying the invoices on a monthly basis, and you're gonna get reimbursed, so that money is gonna be replenished back into the budget. Yeah. All right.
Question, got a rough breakdown between the West County Line project and the State Street project?
42 million is the State Street, and West County Line is 16.5.
22,
I'm sorry, 22 is State Street, and 16.5 is West County line.
now, the 16.5, I'm assuming that the Tiger money, the $19 million, doesn't divide between them. But that extra money that you got, that goes between the 19 and the 24, that's 5 million or whatever it is, that is all for West County line. Am I true? That's that earmark from 2011 and something that deals with the railroad, is that?
The 14, you trying to?
No, you say federal funds is 24.5. Bullet point number 3.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The Tiger grant is 19, right? Or 19 and a half.
The remaining federal fund, there's some other federal funds from earmarks and past transportation.
My
bills
point
that are
is that all only for,
exclusively for West County?
that's what I was asking, thank you. That's what I thought, but it's about $5 million, but that is only for West County line.
Yes.
So that makes this project 38 plus 5?
No.
No.
That includes all the federal funds, that 24.5 is every federal penny in there. Both the Tiger and the West County line earmark and STP funds.
But the Tiger does not split between the two.
It does.
It does.
It
It
does.
appropriates a certain amount toward West County line, a certain amount toward.
Just as a, for interest question, could the state say, we're gonna do this one and not do that one, and Tiger would be okay?
Yeah.
But even though it's divided financially, it's one project.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
They're married.
Appreciate a good
I
answer.
think in the last meeting, there was some questions about terminology about different things, because we getting ready to talk about financial reconciliation for the projects. But, there was some talk about budget funds as determined by the commission when the project is approved, obligated and encumbered, done by the city, money set aside after the budgeting by the commission, obligated and approved, funds as approved for the project after the city council approved. And then you got unobligated funds, or funds not allocated or budgeted to any project. All right, so and we can go to the next slide. We had given you some handouts in reference to
This
no. It's
Which has the color.
That's the one you emailed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
This,
Yes, sir. I think the last meeting that we talked about, you wanted a list of all the projects with the original budget that was there, and then showing pretty much the amount that was approved, that was obligated by the city, and also to approve by the city council. And you wanted to see that delta amount based on the actual amount. So I'm just gonna go to a couple of examples. Like if you look at the Brook Hollow Circle project, that project was approved in year 2015, and there was consultant. If you look, if the color coded is green, that means that consultant was approved. And so basically, the consultant was Crown Engineer working on the project. The budget, the approved budget by this commission was around about $530,000, and that was for design and construction. And now let's go back to some of the things that the commission was talking about you're doing project, you're designing projects, but you can't go to construction. When reading the minutes, when the commission first started out, you didn't have enough funds to go to construction. You didn't have enough funds to do anything but do the design. So basically, you were thinking ahead that, okay, well, we're going to design these projects this year, and when the funds come available, we're going to use those funds to go to the next phase of the project. So there was some of those projects, there was no need for you to come up with allocate funds for construction when you didn't have enough money for it. So you only allocate this money for the design phase of the project. Basically,
So how long is that design good for? So we pay for this engineering, what if it takes however many years before we allocate money to complete that project.
I mean,
It
say this
It
is
really depends on the site and if there are any changes to the site between the time design's completed. And so if you get a design and you put it on the shelf, then you have to, when you get funded, then you need to
Yeah.
double check everything and make sure that the design's still good.
But you still have to have capital to move forward.
Yes.
Well.
You still have to what?
You have to have capital. You have to have money. You have to be a resource.
Well, you mean to finish the project?
Construct.
Yeah, but I think we're saying the same thing.
And keep the money so we can go and apply toward the construction.
So,
That's
Exactly right, exactly
But it's
right.
done now. That's just my mindset.
That's right.
The
Well, that's
sixth,
what this helps.
the sixth and seventh item you got up there, Woodall Road and George Washington Drive.
The idea was always
Wood Hill Road, George Washington Drive. You see which ones I'm talking about?
yes, sir.
They continue to be on this list, and on April the 6th, 2016, this commission voted to take them off and to not fund them.
Right, but
So wait, so why do we keep on carrying them as projects when we said we're not doing it?
Because
this is
the-
the update from the beginning. This is just
This
the
is
list.
the
update
from the beginning.
Okay, so,
So this is where we would take this list
Okay.
and go, like we started to do last week, and then we'd take from this list these, whether it's those 5 that we did engineering, we don't have the money to do, we go, okay, we're moving this off that list, tabled to some future date. There may be a priority that's pushed up. I mean, that's what we're saying.
Basically deferred.
Right, or deferred, or when we have the money, or, something else has gotten worse, a bridge or whatever, and that money got used
but the
elsewhere.
remarks still say, those two are just like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 underneath it.
Okay, what's the?
And they are different. In my opinion, they are different because we didn't vote anything on Oakmont or North Canton Club or whatever. But the notes all
Yeah, what is
say
the
this
color?
project was not selected for priority during the April meeting. What it actually was selected to not be done so we could move the money to somewhere else.
but you never made the decision to do that.
It is in the minutes as a direct
Hold on,
motion,
just let me finish.
okay?
Don't be a bear. Just let me finish.
Don't say we didn't do it though. Go ahead.
We didn't, because when we had the work session, I broke it out what we had remaining funds to do, which is about $276,900. The commission has to make a decision whether or not you want to move forward with those projects or move them somewhere else.
Would you be willing to take this list and make your recommendation of the projects that we don't have the money to do the construction? And let's decide which
Yes.
ones you recommend from the department standpoint that we should, I mean, you don't have to do it right now, but I'm saying, I think to Pete's point, this is what we're trying to do. We want to move this old stuff off or keep it on, but it's encumbering our ability, if it's going to sit there as a liability, I guess, as a project that needs to be funded. But if we're doing the Tiger Grant or we're doing, something else, our money's going to get eaten up. And so rather than talking about them over or why are they still on the list, we need you to say, hey, we need this on the list because.
And it might be that we ought to reconsider it, but the motion was to remove George Washington Drive and Woodhall Hill Road from the list of projects to include in the approved budget, to remove them. The April 16th, 2016.
That was based off of the priority list that IMS presented as it relates to ranking those projects. And in that meeting, we ranked the projects that we move forward with. Those projects are still listed there because what are we going to do with the remaining funds?
It was removed as a priority.
That's right.
But we also don't know what the cost to finish it. It's not on here.
We have not continued to negotiate with those consultants because at that time, we wanted to make sure that we had available funds to move forward with those drainage projects that were approved. That's why you see in that comment column where it says money was moved here to there, that's where we moved money from. Never stepped outside to a different project that was not approved by this commission.
Wait, which comment?
Not on this.
Not on this sheet, but on the one that we supply.
And Charles, I think we all agree that that's true, what you said last time, so just to put on the record, nobody said they just moved out of any project that was not approved by this commission. I mean, the money's moved around, but readily agreed that it wasn't taking the move here and buy a fire truck with it.
Mr. Lee said.
Well, right, but
I
see,
mean, that didn't
right,
happen.
but we're
We're all
not.
in agreement with that.
Not
everybody.
Or another drainage project.
Everybody's not in agreement, because that's
Okay.
not what Mr. Lee said.
In reference to the color code.
I use a fire truck as a wild example.
The green is drainage, the gray color is bridges. We just highlighted everything different.
Can we gotta do these colors? Can y'all give us a little key?
It says bridges, it says streets.
Green is drainage, gray is bridges, yellow streets, whatever, bottom of water.
What we did was we made sure we used what the commission was saying that they was used to saying. We made sure we tried to make it match. All right. So going back to the first one that we was talking about, you have a budget of $85,000 for design. You got $453,000 for construction. All right, which made a total of $538,000 that was obligated, which is also the same sheet that the city provides to you as far as that financial sheet. Now I'm going to skip to that same sheet. If you go to that same, in reference to the drainage, you notice that we're showing that $85,000 in that color, which means that included design and also construction engineer inspection for that consultant. But however, the project has not gone to construction yet, so therefore the construction budget has not been approved by city council. But
That's that 453.
it's right.
The money's there.
The money is there, but now.
Public Works hadn't sent it over to council.
No.
They ain't got the bids yet.
It's just a budget number.
It's a budget number, yes.
We spent 85, it's 85 that's put on design.
85 that's a contract that you have currently out for a consultant that's going
That's, I think, a little less than 53 or 58.
Yes.
If you see the
We're
last
gonna
column
spend
is
our
expenditure
45
statement.
for maintenance.
He's done the design part. He hasn't done the
I mean, I think the
construction
y'all
engineering
save some money on that, it was gonna be a
Well,
little
last
less.
one was 43,000.
Yes, so that's the expenditure.
It can't be,
Design
that's the
expenditure.
less
The
than
city paid
what
43 of 85.
Yes.
Right, which is for design.
which is always good.
So pretty much, this list right here is all these projects, that's how everything is rolled out. And if you look at the bottom totals, they match exactly what the city is giving you on a monthly basis. It's just that these totals are running across the page, whereas they're running everything down the page, but the numbers match.
Well, yes, but you gotta, again, we're talking about the purpose of master planning here. So if you do a real master plan, the master plan is going, what you really would have been looking at without design and all that stuff is about a $2 billion plan. And as you have money, then you start to design for those things. And if you have the money, but I agree that some of the stuff should have been prioritized better.
Let me ask you a question, Mayor, while you're on that. When we started all this 2 years ago, we were talking about master plans, the city was doing a CIP, a comprehensive plan, master plan for the city for the 5-year program. Where is that?
I think that was presented.
I mean, if we, the 5-year for those, I hadn't seen one for the, I mean, for things that were outside of the 1%. This was for buildings and everything. It was a CIP, and it was a 5-year master plan.
Yeah.
And ours was gonna try to merge into that, but we've never seen that CIP.
Well, we're still doing some asset management.
Oh, so in the last 3 years, that hadn't happened either. Okay, thank you.
Well, in the last 3 years,
I mean, it's not ready yet either, is what you're saying.
well, I'm saying that what we have been doing over the last 2 years, and, no, actually, this, since, I don't know, the last 2 years.
It's 2 months short of 3 years.
Yeah, the last 2 years is putting together a CIP and presenting to this commission what it should have, what it had been tasked to do. See, the full scope of this is that one of the reasons why we're here is because, and I'm not gonna say the commission, I'm gonna say you, Pete, you want to see the CIP which had nothing to do with this commission. Then you,
Wait, the city told us they were gonna do it,
The-
like,
the-
and
the
would like
city-
our master plan
the
to be a
city
part of
does,
it.
the city does stuff all the time that doesn't include
Ms. Powell said that they wanted our plan to be a part of the CIP.
and we never did. And we never, right, we never
saw the
did a master
CIP.
plan. How can the plan be a part of the CIP if the CIP is the umbrella?
And the CIP doesn't exist.
And neither does a
But
master
it's,
plan.
but it's gonna be under, it's been
And neither
underway for
does
the
a
last
master
3
plan.
years.
Neither does a master plan.
Well, it does now.
No, sir, you got, what you have in front of you is the city council can't vote on anything that you got in here. Can they? Is there anything here that the
No.
city council can vote on?
No,
Well, how is this a master plan?
because the city council doesn't have to approve our master plan.
No, sir, that's not what I asked you. Is there anything